The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Between science and ignorance, there is filler.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 20th, 2016 edition of Paranormal Filler. I am your host, Wes Forsythe, and Paranormal Filler is brought to you by LiveParanormal.com, your interactive social community for the paranormal. And, of course, it's sponsored by Ken Boggles House of Cards, Tarot by Ken. .com. We got a big night tonight, 8 o'clock, the first hour that you're listening to right now. I've got Rocky Smith of the Oregon Ghost Conference. He's back again this year. That's coming up April 1st through 3rd. We're going to be talking to him about everything going on at the Oregon Ghost Conference held in Seaside, Oregon. And, of course, stay tuned on WIHGradio.com. 9 p.m., Steve DeShavi of The Dead Files will be following him up. It's been a beautiful, beautiful week here in the lovely state of Kentucky, although none of my broadcasting equipment seems to be wanting to work tonight. If you're watching on the webcam, it is, I am farm fresh once again, people. I'm wearing a hat because my hair looked absolutely horrible. But I'm wearing my Scarefest hat, so it's like authentic. But it's been just absolutely sunny week, and of course on the farm, that means everything had to be done this week. Everything. I have just done all kinds of farming stuff. Nothing paranormal, although I believe I mentioned it last weekend. A group came to the Ross Opera House. And they were really excited. They asked me to come down for an interview, and I'm working with some broadcast stuff while I'm on the air, which is always awkward. But and they had a fantastic night. They're getting ready to send me a bunch of the evidence and data that they've collected, and they say that they may have caught some really good video evidence. So there, I got my broadcast equipment working. I've had everything happen tonight. So that's what happens when you fly by the seat of your pants.
Paranormal Filler.
So Rocky, welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm in a just outstanding mood. I finally reached that good tired. You know what I mean? That you've been out getting dirty and doing stuff, but I've been out in the sun this week. Oh God, it's so refreshing. Good. It's so refreshing from I am not a winter guy, Rocky. Up in Oregon, y'all probably have some pretty sucky weather up there in the winter, don't you?
Absolutely, and it's been raining all weekend, or actually it just started raining this morning, but we're on spring break, and it's supposed to rain most of the week.
We had a really wet, rainy spring here, and then it finally dried out this week, and the sun came in. Now, it's a little chilly today. That's another reason, if anybody's watching on the webcam, they're used to seeing me in my Hawaiian shirts, even in the dead of winter. Well, today I came straight off the farm, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt and a hat, and I haven't shaved for like a week. So I have the whole mountain thing. Oh, and I do want to thank the lovely country of Canada. You all make the best socks. I finally somebody traded me, Rocky. Somebody traded me some Canadian socks for a membership on the website, and I said, "Yeah, well, you know, it sounds more than I had." And by the time they got to me, of course, sending them all the way from Canada. Of course, they had to wait till they got out of snow to even go to the store to get them. But it was already spring here. It was lovely, so I thought I was going to have to hold them off. But we got down. It's been whiny cold here this week. The kind of weather where it's better than it was before, but not as good as it just was. So you just whine about it a little bit and go on. But anyway, that's enough about Kentucky weather. I have been accused so many times of not talking enough about the paranormal. First thing out of the bat, now, of course, Oregon Ghost Conference coming up April 1st through 3rd. You have moved it to Seaside, Oregon this year. Would you like to tell the listeners why you moved it from Oregon City?
Sure. So I'm, as you know, from Oregon City and started the Ghost Conference in 2012 here. And mainly because of my interest in the local history and wanting to bring people into my hometown. But what happened, actually, after 4 years, actually even last year, we had kind of outgrown our original location. And so last year we moved to a large abandoned school, which you probably remember me talking about, here in Oregon City. And that went pretty well, but we're already kind of at capacity in that space. And we're kind of wondering about what we wanted to do for the future of the Ghost Conference. And thought that, most of our participants were excited about the possibility of having a change and looking throughout the state for other possibilities in terms of talking about haunted history. And we had gotten several phone calls from multiple different cities within Oregon who were very interested in convincing us to move the conference to their cities. And one of them was Seaside. And so we did some investigations, and we went out there to Seaside and worked with some people out there, talked to the people at the convention center in Seaside, and it just all seemed to make sense. So that's why we moved.
It sounds, now, of course, I actually know nothing about Seaside, Oregon. I barely know anything about Kentucky. But I do now. It's actually on the coast. There's a reason they named it Seaside, correct?
That's right. So Seaside, Oregon is right on the Oregon coast, and actually part of the history of Seaside was it was kind of a destination for people to leave the Portland area to go to the coast. This is even in its early beginnings in the 1900s. So today it's very much the same type of a city where people leave town and go on vacation. But Ben Holiday was one of the main figures in Seaside history. He's kind of well known throughout Oregon history and actually has a connection to Oregon City as well. But Ben Holiday had built a seaside house there in that town, in that area, and the actual name of the town takes its name from his original seaside house.
Now, I watched, you got more research than most of my guests do. I actually did get to see part of your promo video that you have on your website. By the way, everybody, OregonGhostConference.com. It's long, but it's easy to spell, OregonGhostConference.com. And so I did catch that if you get to do it, which I don't know that it was finalized, I understand that being on the seaside, close to the beach, you get to do something a little special this year.
Yeah, well, we are gonna do some different ghost tours on Friday and Saturday night. One of the ghost tours is going to be in the downtown and in the Gilbert district. Even that part of Seaside is only within about 4 blocks from the beach. And on Saturday night, we're going to do a ghost tour on the promenade and kind of overlooking the ocean there. There's a lot of great stories associated with Seaside in terms of shipwrecks, but also ghost stories, and also a haunted lighthouse that sits just off of the coast. And then we're going to do some investigations also that Friday and Saturday night, and that's going to be at the Bridge Tender, which is a local bar there in Seaside from the early 1900s that used to be a brothel.
Did you get to have your bonfire?
We are going to do that, yes.
See, that's what I wanted. That's
so
a cool part to me.
About. So actually, yeah, we are definitely doing that. And actually, that's going to be, it was kind of one of those things, well, if you're at the beach, everyone wants to go have a bonfire. So in Seaside, actually, that's perfectly legal, and you can go down the beach, have a bonfire. And so we thought we would get a group of people together, whoever wants to come down, and that'll be on Saturday night at 9:30. And we're just going to share ghost stories. So it's going to be kind of fun because it'll be a lot of our speakers and a lot of just locals and a lot of the attendees from the Ghost Conference. So it'll be a mix of a bunch of different people sharing stories. And we're saying, you can tell real ghost stories or not real ghost stories. We don't care. We're just going to have fun at the beach.
See, now, to me, that is a big selling point because to me, in my mind, that sets you apart from the other Paracons. Because they all have speakers, and most of them have ghost hunts, and
right.
Better work, because nobody knows how good the ghost hunt is until they get there. I've been,
right.
I went to one where we had one cool location, and the others you could tell they were just trying to have enough to make it worth, saying they were having a ghost hunt.
Sure, right.
But
I know what you're saying.
But the idea of having a ghost story bonfire is a really, I think that's just a really cool idea.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I mean, part of what makes this Ghost Conference so much fun is we have the typical speakers and we have the panels and we have classes. And we just also want to have some events where people can just have fun. And this year we've added a bunch of different things. We're doing the bonfire, but we're also doing a big party on Friday night, which is April Fool's Day, which we're calling April Ghoul's Day. And it's really going to be a big party in celebration of our 5-year anniversary, which is, I think, a pretty big step for us. So we're going to have some music, and local musicians, Ray Gordon and Ben Rice, are going to be performing at that. Yeah,
the Ghost Conference sounds great because the fact, and I'm basing on the fact that you've kept it growing. So many of a lot of well-intentioned people. There's a lot of well-intentioned people out there. They really do put on good Paracons, but they just can't seem to keep. Well, honestly, budget's a lot of it. They go, they try to spend too much money, and they forget that you got to get the warm bodies through the door to keep the thing going. But with your 5th anniversary and the new locale, sounds like you've got that part under control. I'm really happy to see that you all are doing well. Now let's see. There was one thing on there that I wanted to. Gosh, you got so much stuff. There it is. Tell me, what's this Ghost Experts a Paranormal Quiz? I want to hear. That looks like a fun thing.
Yeah, so this is a new thing this year. I was trying to think of some, a variety of different events to do, and I think we all kind of joke in the paranormal world about what an expert is or what a ghost expert is. I always found that term to be kind of funny because, we're all considered experts to some degree because we have the most experience in this field, but what is an expert of a field that no one really knows all the details and what the facts are and are constantly questioning things. So this is kind of a takeoff of the pub quizzes that happen all around the world. And there's a company called Geeks Who Drink, and they actually have done pub quizzes all over at bars and local taverns all over the United States. And that's also even took off into a new TV show on Sci-Fi. And so they're going to put on this paranormal quiz, and we're going to have teams participate. It could be locals, it could be just visitors to the conference, or individual paranormal teams that want to take part. And the paranormal quiz is a little bit of paranormal trivia, but also just some, there'll probably be some pop culture references in there from Ghostbusters and a lot of different things. And at the end of the night, we'll find out who the real ghost victims are.
It sounds like, of course, to me, I bet all my listeners think I'm an alcoholic, but anything that I can do and drink, it just sounds like a blast to me. And
there will definitely be that. Yes, there'll definitely be drink.
So there's actually, this was something that was brought to you, or now did I understand this was something that you were aware of and you brought this thing in?
I reached out to them and had got it organized with them. So
okay, that means that I can't steal their idea. I'll have to do it if I decide to do something like that. I have to be completely original rather than just copying you. So now on your I see you've got now. Gosh dang it! I think she was there last year too. You've got a psychic gallery reading, and
right.
Say her name so that I don't screw it up.
It's Ankasha Amenti.
That's okay. It's phonetically correct.
She's been at our Ghost Conference the last few years. The first year she participated just as a speaker, and then last year we had a gallery reading, and then we're doing that again. She's been well received by so many different people, not just at our Ghost Conference, but at other Ghost Conference. She also did the Port Gamble conference, which is up in Port Gamble, Washington. And we draw a lot of people at the Oregon Ghost Conference from Washington, so she'll be doing that gallery reading. And like I said, every year we have people in the audience, and she just reaches out to the audience and taps into, different people and connects with loved ones that have passed away.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Everybody, you're listening to Paranormal Filler. My guest tonight is Rocky Smith of the Oregon Ghost Conference. TarotByKen.com. Unlike other tarot readers, Ken reads multiple spreads during each session to provide you with clear, concise answers and guidance. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a voice on the radio. From Kelly, one reading with Ken completely changed things around for me. Jennifer, I feel so rejuvenated about my life. Melissa, it has changed my life. Visit TarotByKen.com to arrange your own tarot date, or you can call or text Ken at 859-229-4833. And welcome back to Paranormal Filler. I'm Wes Forsythe, your host, and I am talking to Rocky Smith of the Oregon Ghost Conference. Now, one thing, logistically or even mentally, was it, okay, you went out of your comfort zone this year because I know that you do ghost tours in Oregon City. So you know all the haunted locations. You know the ghost stories. What was it like now moving to this other city and having to pursue their haunts, as one might say?
Well, it was definitely a challenge, and one of the reasons that I had an interest in moving the Ghost Conference, honestly, was to start getting to know other cities and getting to know some of their stories. When I start doing a ghost tour, even when I started with the ones in Oregon City, it was very much, history focused. So what I would do is I figured if I could find 5 or 6 ghost stories within a 10 or 20 block radius, that was enough to start a basic tour. And you could then infill that with the history of the city. And by the time you got through at least one season of a tour, you would kind of let people know what you were doing. And also, just because of the people on the tour, more stories would come out and people would talk and share about their stories, or you would walk down the street and people would come out and tell you about an experience that they had in a particular business. So when I was starting when we decided to move the conference to Seaside, I'm actually going out to Seaside again tomorrow. So I've made about 4 or 5 trips in the last few months to just talk to people, but also just do some research on the town. So I've done a lot of that, and the great thing about Seaside is they're so open about talking about the history of their town, so open about sharing stories. And so I feel pretty good about the tours that we put together, and so I'm actually going up this week to finalize my exact route and all the stories that we're going to be talking about. But it's exciting, and I think that the addition of being on the coast, you have opened the door to even more stories with the shipwrecks and the different, components of the history of this city, not just the ghost stories.
Yeah, I would think so. Now let's talk about some of the venues you do have listed here. By the way, I want to thank you. That's a hell of a nice Paranormal Filler banner you plastered on your website for this interview.
Thank you.
I love a little shameless self-promotion. The Friday Night Investigation. What can you tell the listeners about the Bridge Tender Tavern?
Well, this was probably, you just kind of asked about how difficult it was to put together the ghost tours. That was a heck of a lot easier than finding a place to do an investigation. And I think you made that comment that, when you advertise an investigation, people are all very excited about signing up for it. And, we don't know until you actually get there. People don't know what they're actually going to experience. And, you want it to be a place that has a great history. You want it to be a place that's active. And, when you do investigations, these aren't necessarily investigations that take place at a ghost conference are a lot different than what a normal investigation would be with a group, because you're dealing with more people and having to figure out the logistics of that. And we were searching for months in Seaside to try to find a place that would work. And I'm so happy to get in contact with the Bridge Tender. The owners there, I've been working with Katie Smith, the owner at Bridge Tender. And what we're going to do is we're going to do investigations on 2 different nights so that we only have 24 people each night, which we're going to break into groups of 3. So each group will only have 8 people. And their bar is extremely haunted, but we're going to break up those groups into 3 groups. We're going to investigate the lower level of the bar, the upper level, which is actually where the brothel used to be in the old days. It's an abandoned part of the building, the whole second floor. It used to be 9 different apartments. And so that's 2 of the groups. And then the other group is going to be in the psychic shop. Actually, there's a lady does psychic readings next door in the building that's attached, and her name is Tiffany. And so the other group will be in that building, which also have issues, ghost stories associated with it. So we'll rotate throughout the whole building. I'm going there tomorrow to actually go in the second floor of the building. I haven't been up there yet, so I'm checking that out. But they have this story of the madam, which the madam was the madam of the brothel from the early days. And it's something that causes the story associated with the madam affects all parts of the building. They see her, they hear her, they kind of, run the business to make sure that she's happy, so they make changes and they have to constantly kind of appease her. And I think it's going to be really fun. They're so excited. When you go and ask someone to open up their business for a group of people with cameras and just wandering around, I think that's a lot to ask somebody. And they're so excited. They're going to have drink specials throughout the weekend, and they've made T-shirts to talk about their business, and they're just having a blast. And they're going to share their stories. They've showed, they shared, the owner of the Bridge Tender, showed and told some of her stories on that video that we put online. But that's only just a small amount of the stories that they have associated with the building. So I think I'm really excited about it. I'm going to get a better feel for it. I've been through most of the building already, but the upstairs, because it's been abandoned for so long, we've been having to make sure that it's safe. And so I'm going to go there, check it out tomorrow, and we'll be taking people up there. Now,
I love that the tavern jumped in on this, and like you said, you were saying that the entire town is just. It sounds to me like they're not, well, they're proud of their history. Most towns are, but that they're proud of their haunted history. I had somebody on just not long ago, and it surprises me every time. Now, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, it didn't surprise me when people didn't want their business, their location, known for being haunted. But my God, in today's paranormal television saturated world, I think it's better than business cards.
Right. Well, it depends. Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends. For something, like a bar or a business that, taps into its history, very much so. But I think, other places kind of really have to balance it. If it's a hotel, if it's an old haunted hotel,
Rocky, I'm going to tell you, the best thing a hotel can do is have a damn ghost.
I agree.
I mean,
but okay, not always does everyone agree with that.
The thing is, okay, now I admit some of the stories, people, you might have some people not want to patronize you because they think you're batshit crazy. But
right, exactly.
But people fall into two categories for the most part: those that believe in ghosts and those that don't. The ones that don't believe in ghosts, they don't care if you say your place is haunted or not. And the ones that do believe in ghosts, very, very, I'll put it this way, I would say that fewer of them would avoid your establishment than you would gain from the people going, oh my God, it's haunted. We've got to go there. The haunted hardware store, the spooky forest. I'm sorry. I think that places are just totally missing it. Now, the perfect balance. We have a place in town. We have a bed and breakfast. The husband does not believe in ghosts. Does not want anything about his establishment. The wife is a firm believer. Tells everybody. And so they got this balancing act going on. It's like when you go in, you feel like you're sneaking in to see the ghost.
Well, I mean, I agree that that's actually a balance too, because you definitely have to try to bridge the gap sometimes between people that don't believe and people that do believe, which is kind of what this whole ghost conference is about, and how kind of opening it up to all sorts of viewpoints and beliefs and skeptics, and have that dialogue, and try to see if you can have an experience and what people think about that. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, it's close enough for government work. We're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. You're listening to Paranormal Filler. Lockdown 2016 at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. June 19th, join Paul Bradford, Brian Cano, Christopher St. Booth, Deb and Nick Lance, Chris Dedman, myself, and many more icons of the paranormal field. Enjoy a celebrity meet and greet, an investigation of the entire prison, including areas that are normally not open to the public. There's even a magic show by illusionist Reed Masterson of Impossible Magic. All this and a late-night meal with the celebrity guest. The proceeds from this event benefit Unity, a Journey of Hope, a charity that grants wishes to adults with life-limiting illnesses. Purchase your tickets now at lockdown2016.eventbrite.com or visit Unity, a Journey of Hope.org to learn more. Unity, a Journey of Hope, changing lives one wish at a time. And welcome back to Paranormal Filler. I'm your host, Wes Forsythe, and tonight we're talking about the Oregon Ghost Conference, April 1st through 3rd, Seaside, Oregon. My guest is Rocky Smith. Now, Rocky, let's talk about some of your speakers that you got coming.
Okay.
Now, one of the seminars I see, or whatever you want to call it, Karen Frazier is doing dream interpretation. Now, is she actually doing like a gallery thing where she interprets your dreams, or is she just explaining the process that one goes through?
I think she's explaining the process. I'm sure she can definitely, listen to people and hear their dreams and kind of shed some light on that. But it won't be in terms of like a gallery reading so much. Karen is actually someone that's been a part of the Ghost Conference for a long time. She is from up in Washington. She's an author. She's written a lot of books. One of the books that she has written is about a place up in Washington called, hold on a second. There's a town up in Washington, and the town is an old train town. There was a train that train station, a place that people would stop up in the mountains, and this town doesn't exist anymore. It's probably one of the scariest places I've been. And what I mean by that is it's a place that's, up in the middle of the woods in the middle of nowhere, and there's an old train, basically a shed that protects the train tracks from avalanches. And what happened was there was a huge snowstorm, and the train got stuck up there on the mountain. And she wrote this book about this town called Wellington. And it was one of the sites of the site of the worst avalanche disaster in U.S. history. And a bunch of people were stuck on the train, and the train got knocked off the cliff. And at the place where the train was impacted, where you stand there today, it's just very, very uneasy. It's a very scary place. But when you crawl down and climb over the hillside to where the train kind of came to rest, it's almost like you're in a cemetery. It's very peaceful. And we've had a lot of psychics up there to read the place that's there. And so I've been up there. I hope to go up there again soon. But it's been quite a while. And she's been a speaker, and she's been on the authors panel and in the past as well.
Now, the next speaker I see is Peter. Now, am I saying his name right? Or is it Orbea?
Orbea, yeah.
Orbea, okay. Now, he's got a topic called Spirited Personalities. Do you know what that's about?
Yeah, well, he's another great friend. He is from Port Gamble, and Port Gamble, Washington, is this cool town that is almost like a movie set. All the buildings from the town are early, mid to late 1800s, and they have it's a company-owned town, so the town is all rented out. It used to be an old kind of mill town, and so he is going to kind of talk about some of his connection to the town. He also does ghost tours up there as well. And just talking about the spirited personalities of the spirits that he works with up there, but also just kind of classifying different types of spirits.
Okay. Now, jumping ahead, now this is one that you're actually sitting in on. What are you going to tell in the seminar titled Ghost Hunting for Kids?
Well, that's a lot of fun. We've done this every year. I'm a teacher. I'm an art teacher at Oregon City High School here in Oregon City, and I love working with kids. And one of the things about this Ghost Conference is trying to make it open for all ages. And we have had kids at this ghost class for the last 3 or 4 years that ranged from, age about 3 to about 7, 8, up to even 15. And I just sit on the floor with these kids. We go over the basics in terms of investigating places. We bring equipment. Aaron Collins and Rob St. Helens are going to help me with this class. And both of them have investigated haunted places all over the Northwest. And so we talk a little bit about how to be open-minded, how to kind of feel a place just with your gut feelings. We talk about general technology and equipment. And then we take the kids out and kind of wander around various places. This year we're going to probably stay even within one section of the convention center, because there is some ghost stories associated with the convention center itself. There's a lot of Native American sites in the city of Seaside which have been built upon, and that may have something to do with it. But there's definitely one hallway in particular in the convention center that they have stories associated with. So we'll probably take the kids down there, talk about that, and maybe go for a walk around town.
Now, one that caught my eye here, I don't know if you know anything about the seminar or not, but I guess it's Michaela Rand?
Yes.
Okay.
The
topic is
Michaela.
The topic is adding non-paranormal equipment to your investigation.
Right.
Everything is non-paranormal. I mean, except for dowsing rods and carrying around a bundle of sage. What? I don't know what paranormal equipment is. So, what can you tell me about that one?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's just she's not going to be focused on cameras and paranormal equipment in terms of EMF detectors and all of that. I think that goes very much to what I was talking about with the kid class, where we kind of start out just, letting people go into a place and kind of feeling what they feel and describing it and being able to not just close that off. You also mentioned dowsing rods. I mean, it's that kind of thing too. But more just being in tune with yourself and being open to what's around and using, yourself as a paranormal equipment instead of a EMF detector, taking EVPs or any of that.
I thought maybe they were going to do the Ghostbusters toaster thing, with the slime. Okay, that makes it. I'll tell you a quick joke. Well, it's not a joke. I'm really going to do this. I'm going to go on eBay, and I'm going to put a beginner ghost hunter kit and charge like $50. And the people are going to get a flashlight, a pencil, and a piece of paper. And because that is all you need. And if you do it during daytime, you don't need the flashlight. But, I have to give them something for their money.
Right.
Now, let's see. Of course, now, Karen Anderson, Animals in the Afterlife. Now, is this more of a research thing, or is she a pet psychic? What's the deal on Karen Anderson?
She is a pet psychic. She's a animal communicator. Mm-hmm. She's an author as well. She's asking people that are participating in her class to bring photos of their pets. And she's going to kind of help give people the basics on how to communicate with their pets, but also I think we'll be able to do some readings on some of the photos as well.
That is my guilty pleasure. I love pet psychics. And I've had a lot of psychic readings, Rocky. That's hard to say. When I go to a conference, if I get bored, or sometimes I've had mediums run up to me and say, "Oh, you've got to let me read you." And I've had good ones and I've had bad ones. But I'm going to tell you, the only psychic in the world that ever made me cry was a damn pet psychic. I mean, she was so on the money. I mean, just right down the middle. There wasn't any room for interpretation. She didn't miss us. She didn't miss a lick. The only thing we thought she missed after we left we realized what she was talking about. And I mean, it was incredible. And so that is my guilty pleasure. I do love pet psychics.
That's cool.
Now, let's see. Yeah, we still got plenty of time here. Okay, now here's one that I'm going to say is very closely, unfortunately named, but hey, it's all up to interpretation. Ben Robinson is doing one called CERM, and that stands, people, for Spectral Emotion to Radio Frequency Manifestation. God, I hate when people struggle that hard to make a phonetic sounding on something, and I mean, they're one letter away from a bad joke. So anyway,
right.
What's he talking about? It sounds like a ghost box, but go ahead. What's he talking about on Spectral Emotion to Radio Frequency Manifestation?
Well, honestly, that's one of those topics that's way above my head. I'm there's so many levels. I am, not a techie when it comes to investigation, and Ben definitely is. They are going to do some talking about some of the research that he's done. They have done, Ben has done a lot of different topics over the last couple of years as well, but this is one I think is definitely for the advanced paranormal groups. It's something that's way above my pay grade.
Just going by the name of it, it looks like he has a hypothesis, which he puts in the description,
right?
About how the spirit box, how we get, because that's the only reason I can think of throwing radio frequency.
Right.
I was talking to somebody about that the other night, and that's why I don't use one very much, is because I can't explain how it works. But if I had a good hypothesis, because that's really all I have on a lot of this stuff. But if I had a way to explain to people how I think it works, then I would feel much better about using it.
Well, I've used the spirit box too, and I have kind of the same questions. I've had I've had things happen with it. We've heard, definitely heard answers to things in it, but I still am a little skeptical of that too, and how it pulls from these different channels and things like that. But Ben is someone that does a lot of investigating, someone that does a lot of research, and so it's nice to have, I guess I would consider him a ghost expert.
I can't even say that I'm a skeptic of the ghost box, because I know they can.
Right.
I've had them produce good, verifiable data. I've had good evidence that I'm not afraid to show to anybody. But at the same time, I'm not a skeptic of the ghost box. I'm a skeptic of the person using the ghost box. I have heard many ghost box sessions, and the people were just sitting there just rattling off what it was allegedly saying, and I thought, God, this is crap. But still,
they hear what they want to hear.
Yes.
Sure, they hear what they want to hear, and translate it in whatever way.
But as my disclaimer always is, I am not the person who can tell a ghost what they can or cannot do. So therefore, I can't say that anything absolutely does not work for that reason. Now, here's one that might just raise a lot of stink in the community. Katie Montana Jordan is doing energy working tools, Ouija boards. Now,
I was a little skeptic of that too. I love Katie, and Katie, kind of pitched this, and I had a little bit of. I'm one that doesn't like to use Ouija boards. I'm one that partly, I do know the history of it, and I do know that there's a lot of negative connotations that we bring to it, and I've just been always kind of scared of it. And maybe that's just because I don't have a huge knowledge of it. So one of the things that she wanted to do was kind of bring out some of those, I think, some of the history, but also some of the, concerns and kind of fears that people have of it, and kind of break those apart and kind of work through that. And like I said, this Ghost Conference is one that I want to have things that are, topics that are open to everybody and open to different types of groups and different people. And I think this is one that, some people will either like or not like. And I think having that option, though, for people to do it is a good thing.
I'm sure I would love the speech, but I have finally come up with my analogy. By the way, everyone, I am the master of the tortured analogy. To me, Ouija boards are like lawn darts. In skilled, proficient hands, there is no danger whatsoever.
Sure.
All it takes is a couple of drunk fat guys, and all hell breaks loose. So,
well, isn't that the truth with anything?
It is, but it is, so that is, from now on, that is my analogy. I was sitting here and that came to me I believe the word is epiphany. To me, a Ouija board is playing lawn darts.
Right.
But no, it looks like, and I've had a lot of guests come on the show, and Robert Murch has been on, and it's one of those things. I know with all my heart, they sell them at Toys R Us. I'm sure 99% of the time they're perfectly harmless, but I just can't get into it. I just can't.
Yeah, I might just go sit on it because I know I have this fear of my anytime I've been in an investigation, there's always some random person that's like, oh, I brought this, and I think, oh gosh, and I just have this concern about it, and I usually just go somewhere else and don't participate. But so it might be interesting to find out her take on it and listen in on that.
Well, we've burned through the show pretty well, Rocky. We've got just a few minutes left. Is there anything else about the conference that anybody you want to give a plug, or any seminar that you want to talk about before we end the program? Because I obviously can't get through all these. I take up too much time.
Sure. Well, one of the things is I'm really excited about David Haven. He's coming up from Boise, Idaho. He teaches class on cemetery symbolism, and for someone who is a history buff and someone who does ghost tours and cemetery tours, even for that matter, I think it's a very important topic. And the symbolism within cemeteries, their meanings, and some of the customs associated with cemeteries and burials. So I'm really excited about that. He's doing a 2-hour class. And Nicole Strickland, who is a good friend of mine, who's coming all the way up from the San Diego Paranormal Research Society in San Diego. She'll be back this year and talking about some of the haunted places in Southern California, but also teaching a class. And then another friend of mine, Seth Michael, who has been, he's a psychic medium here in the Portland area. And this year they're actually filming a documentary about his life as a psychic, and they're going to be filming actually at the conference, and it's called All Around Us. And they're going to have, interviews at the conference, but also film some of the psychic panel and things like that.
Sounds like you've done another top-notch job of putting together another good ghost conference. I wish you all the luck in the world, Rocky. Just to give everybody a reminder, we're talking about the Oregon Ghost Conference. That's OregonGhostConference.com for more information. It goes on April 1st through the 3rd. It is in Seaside, Oregon, so if you're over on that coast, that area, be sure to check him out. And Rocky, I want to thank you for coming on the show again this year.
Hey, thank you so much. And maybe one year we'll get you out here to experience it yourself.
I would absolutely love to come. I almost feel like I've almost gotten to the skill level where I'm almost worth the plane ticket. So thank you so much, Rocky. And before I close the show out, I do want to give one last plug here. This is for July 24th. I've been asked by Brian Cano to go up and take Paranormal Filler on the road and to do some radio broadcasting from the infamous Bobby Mackey's up in Wilder, Kentucky. Yes, people, I am going back to Bobby Mackey's. I just probably won't go in the basement because I'm afraid the building's going to fall on me. But join Brian. Here's the plug. Join Brian as he explores the infamous Bobby Mackey's music world for the first time. That'll be his first time there. His method tour focuses on the process, philosophy, and execution of paranormal investigating and is suitable for novices and veterans alike. Taking the lessons he's learned from his 13 years in the field and 3 seasons with John Zaffis on Haunted Collector, Brian's goal is to take each attendee and alter their perspectives with critical thinking, basic techniques, and logic. So that's Sunday, July 24th. You can go to neverstopsearching.com for more information. And yes, I will be there too, doing my radio personality thing. Everybody, thanks so much for listening. This has been Paranormal Filler.